Hello, welcome to another RETS Pro video. This video is going to cover the Advanced Search Form Builder. And the very first thing when you log in after you've activated the plugin, you're going to see something that looks like this bottom section right here. If you've downloaded the demo, you're going to go ahead and get all the extra layout that you see up in the top. But this video is going to just cover the bottom section and what you normally get when you activate the plugin on a raw, brand new installation. So we have some default fields here, and you're going to want to create all the advanced search form stuff, but that doesn't actually happen until you have 100% completed all RETS data mapping. So don't even bother trying to mess with this or do any part of this in this video until you have completed that part first. Once you've got all your RETS data in, as you can see, I've got 70,000 listings in this particular one. Once I have completed all RETS data, that's when I come in to do the advanced search form building. So what we do is we're going to take something that looks like this and convert it into something that looks like this one, where you have property type, minimum bids, BAS, all that kind of stuff. So what we do is I'm going to jump onto a live project I'm currently working on. And this is what you would start off with in the back end. You're going to click on search forms. You're going to click on edit search form. You're not going to create a new search form. Again, that's going to be in other videos. But just for starters, you're going to go ahead and click on edit search forms. And then you're going to click on the pencil. Now I've already gone in and deleted the 4 default trash fields that were down here. And I've got this as a clean slate ready to do this video for you. What we're going to do is we're going to explain the top section first, and in all instances you do not need to edit anything in this top section to begin with. Again, that's going to be in other videos, but I am going to cover the explanation of all this stuff really quick. This is going to be your search form name, so you know what your search form is by the name title that you gave it. This is going to be the template that you use if you're going to do an advanced search template, which we're not going to do in this video. I do want to explain to you what this is. As the same thing as in the short code videos, there are no templates called default anywhere in our system. Default literally means it's going to be created from the MySQL database and shown on your website as data that was created using our core template. That's not a template file that you can touch, but our core template that's created from the database values. So leave it as default for now. Search results template. Well, even in this video, you could change this to create a different one, but right now it always will default to search results.php. If you have created a custom search results template that is a list layout or some other layout, you can either modify this template or you can create additional templates and just select that here. Again, you're not going to touch any of this to begin with because it's going to default exactly like what you see here. I have got a either a 3-column or 4-column search result layout, and I'm going to be paginating on 12 listings by default. Again, if you're going to do something that would be a 15, you might do 15, etc. But for right now, that's what that is. Normal search, there's really not any difference between normal search and advanced search. Again, I'll get into that later on. CSS, it's always going to default to Bootstrap. You can do a custom CSS file. Again, that's in the other video. This is Bootstrap, and it is using Select2. So Select2 is the library framework that we're using for the 12-stack grid that we're doing down here, and we're using Bootstrap, so it's all responsive. So what we also have here, result not found message, a quick explanation. We default to 404.php. That is a file you can open up again in another video. To have a message, no listings match your search, or listing is no longer found, etc., etc. We'll talk about that in another video. So for right now, to just go from a search form that looks like this to a search form that looks like that, that's what we're covering in this video. Okay, down below, add new tab. As you can see, I just added another tab. Add another tab. What are tabs? jQuery tab layout, just like this. This is what it would look like, and then if I select this one just like this, this is what it would look like. And if you're going to change and do all that, I'm going to cover that really quickly in this video. Tab layouts are typically for active listings, sold listings, or active listings from the MLS, and maybe pocket rental listings if you're a company or agency that's doing rental properties that you have that are not something that would be in the RETS data. This is the typical reason why you would do the tab layout. Some people like to do residential, commercial, multifamily, you know, all the way across here. I don't recommend doing it that way. It is doable. I don't recommend doing it for one reason only, because you are duplicating all of the cities, schools, everything again and again and again. And if you can imagine, if this tab right here was, let's just say 3 megabytes worth of data, and now you've got the same thing cloned over and over again, so residential, commercial, blah blah blah, and it's got all this stuff. Now you ended up with a 12 megabyte page load. That's getting pretty heavy. So that's why we don't do that if we can avoid it at all costs. Okay, the other reason that you have these tab options is for, and this is a perfect example. In this particular website project, I am doing active listings and I am doing sold listings. We are not actually going to allow the public to search sold listings, but we have added both into the same database. And what am I talking about? Okay, over here in the RETS manager, as you can see, we're doing active, and then I went ahead, and what I did is I did an export and then I did an import, and I just changed the active listing status to be pulled in via the cron job to sold. This particular project, we're going to show the company's sold listings to promote what they have sold over the last year, and that's something that you can do as well. This is just to give you some ideas. And I've done a California project where we actually did all sold listings, and so that the investors could sort and search through sold data for historical data reasons. So there are lots of opportunities and reasons why you would do those types of things. But when we're doing the search form, if you decide to go that route, or if you decide to perhaps do MLS listings in the first tab and pocket listings or rental listings in the second one, this is very important that you also do the following. You click Edit Options. Down here, you're going to lock the Submit button so that when somebody goes down here and they click on the Submit, this is a Submit button, it is locked to only active listings, or if this was a tab layout, like I said up here in the top, where we had active and sold, then the sold button, when they click this, is going to be locked to only bringing back sold listings, and the active results here would only be active listings or rentals, etc. So what we're going to do is go back here, and for solds, we would get rid of the all. So this button would only be, I'm not going to save it, so this button would only be sold listings returned on submit. That's important to remember. Another thing that I'm going to point out right here, of course, we're just going to call this for this. If you are breaking it apart where you're doing, like I said, residential, commercial, all the way across, then each of these, for example, if this was maybe a commercial tab, then you would want to select commercial listings, so that when somebody hits that submit button on that tab, it's only going to bring back the proper results, commercial listings, or in this case, property type from this RETS. So that's a little bit about that, just to give you an idea. You can pretty much think it through. It's logical. What you get is either the RETS ID, or you can sort it by the submit button by the commercial, or the property class or the property type. You can also do sort by. So if you wanted to say, hey, I want to sort these listings automatically by price, so you can do price and then ascending or descending. You could do it that way. So when they hit the submit button, it's automatically going to pre-sort the listings based on high to low, low to high, and some people will even do days on market, etc. So there's lots of, or MLS number. You can even do MLS number. So the older MLS numbers are the old listings, and the newer MLS numbers are the new listings. There's lots of ways you can think about these things and how to apply them. Okay, so that's a lot of information about those. We're just going to go ahead and delete these extra tabs. We're not doing that for this video. Okay, the next crucial step is how to build out this advanced search form without having to drag and drop a bunch of stuff up and over each time. If you go look at this, you're going to see we start off with property types, and then we're going to do typically beds, baths, square foot, and cities usually down here. So I try to get this. And another thing that you want to remember is that when you're dealing with responsive, you're going to have this left column on a cell phone, a mobile device, is going to be the left column first, and then this right column is going to wrap up underneath this. So on a desktop or a tablet, this is pretty handy the way it's laid out, but then on a cell phone, this right-hand column will wrap underneath this. And then these will also be full width. So, you know, they'll be 100%. This will actually not be a 50% within this column. It'll be a full width. All right, so just think about that when you look at this layout, and when you go back to mapping and setting up your fields into this form, you're going to want to think the same way. The next thing is, how does this, each time you do this, every time you do it, it's going to go left, right, it's going to fill in all the empty spaces. So I know that the next field over here, I want to be my MLS number. So this is a auto suggest box. As you type it in, it will automatically find that. Now you're going to have to wait a few seconds. If you've got a lot of listings like this, has got 60,000. Took a few seconds for that to pop up. There you go. So I have property type MLS, similar to the way I'm doing it here. So I know the next one is usually a subtype and an address. So I'm looking for types, and we're going to do address. Okay, so we've got our first 4 boxes going here, and I'm going to go ahead and look at the prototype again. Typically is going to be price and subdivision and schools. Okay, so I've added quite a few fields so we can wrap up this video, and you can expand upon this on your own time. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start at the top. I've got most of this laid out the way I would want it, and I'm going to go ahead and explain the rest of the layout. These little tool tips are going to pop up with some information for you and what they do, etc. And I'm just going to go ahead though and scroll down and take a look at everything that I've got going on, make sure that everything looks like it's laid out where I want it to. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and we're going to take a look at where we are. So if you go look at this, you're going to see that we have 2 columns and then we have a split column here. And how do you get to this layout? Well, first of all, we're going to start with the top here and property type. We're going to go ahead and get this. This is the caption name that you see located right here. This is what's above, and then you have what's called a placeholder. So we're going to go ahead and cover these items. And with a quick explanation here, I see that we have, for property type, we're going to go ahead and do multi-select. I've already done a little sampling, and I know that we have this A, B, C, D. That's not really helpful. The customer has no idea what A, B, C, D would look like in the drop-down. And if you are already aware of what these values mean from your RETS, then typically when you select property type, it does say residential, commercial, multifamily, etc. And this particular RETS does it as A, B, C, D for whatever reason. So we know that A is actually residential. So just to give you an idea of what's going on here is, and of course these tooltips will explain all this, but I'm going to give you a quick verbal. What happens is that this is what's actually the value located in the MySQL database, but this is the value that is shown in the form in the dropdown. And what I'm talking about here is, like you see here, this is the dropdown. So if I want the residential, rentals, lot, land, commercial to be what is displayed to the customer, since they would not have any idea what property type A, B, C, D would be, you will change the wording to match what you need it to match. And that's really handy if you think about it, because maybe you were doing a property type and this said single family detached. Well, obviously single family detached, you know, is homes. And if this said single family attached, you would put condos so that your public would understand that that's what they're searching for. And then this has to remain unedited in here because it has to be the value what is found in the MySQL database. So I'm going to leave this as it is right now and just save it so you get an idea of what we're doing here. And then down here where it has placeholder, field type, again, these are all going to explain this, but I'm going to just go ahead and tell you what we're dealing with here. So text, we have regular field types, text auto suggest. To give you an example of what auto suggest is, where you would use that, well, obviously MLS. So we're going to let that be auto suggest. I typically, for the placeholder, I put in begin typing. Same thing down here for address. I'm going to go ahead and do auto suggest. And again, for the placeholder, I'm going to do begin typing, just like you see over here. Anything that I am allowing people to auto suggest, I'm going to say begin typing. And as soon as they begin typing, I'll give you an example. As I am typing, it is now bringing up any schools that match that part of that word. Now, what's also interesting is that it doesn't matter whether COS, I just happen to know that that's one of the schools in the district. If COS was located over here in this word or in this word, it will actually match it and bring it up. So it's really handy. So that's really what the auto suggest text search is all about. So we'll go ahead and jump back over here and finish the rest of these fields here. Type. Let's go over here, and again, everything else other than auto suggest is going to be a multi-select. I don't really, you can do the other, there are all the other options here. You're going to have date range, which is also very important for, types of searches, maybe for if you're going to do open house search or something like that. Checkbox, on click. Like I said, I'm going to give you an advanced version of what all these things can do, but we are just going to cover the basics in this video. So everything that you're doing is going to be either a auto suggest or a multi-select or a minimum, except for price. Price is typically the only field that I will do a minimum maximum. And again, like I said about the tooltips, they are pretty much self-explanatory. Placeholder. This is the one for placeholder that it's just really easy for you just to take something like this and copy and paste it into that box. And the quick explanation of this is that you're going to do min max. Like I said, this is probably the only field that you're going to do a minimum maximum. And when you do this, you're going to have a placeholder text for the minimum side and a maximum price for the max placeholder side. And the tilde is what right there, just like it says, that tilde is what is the separator. So that's how you actually, in this one bar here, get multiple placeholder text. So again, you're going to pop open the pencil, drag the corner down. You can move this box anywhere on your screen. And as you can see, the formatting is all over the place for the prices. And that's why we give you these nice little pre-formatted options down here. So select price, copy from data. All right, again, now one of the most popular questions I get asked all the time on support tickets is, how do I change my advanced search form to include a $sign and a comma so that the price is formatted properly? That exactly what I just did is how you would do that. Feel free to do that for all your fields if that's what you want to have in the drop down. Some people do, some people don't care. That is an option. But what is important is that you do not come over here on this column here and then try to come over here and add the same stuff, because if you do, this is not going to ever be found in the MySQL database. So do not come over here ever and modify anything in this column, because it will corrupt what's going to be found in the database. All right, so again, let me hit price formatting, copy, save. Okay, so that's that, and I do want to go and find another one real quick. Let's just go down here. Okay, so beds total, baths total. Again, to match that formatting where we have the left and right split column, you're going to grab this bottom corner, pull it over, and drag it where you want it. Everything is drag and drop. That's something else. All of this is drag and drop. And the other thing that's important to keep in mind that this is actually a 12 grid. If you do not want a 2-column, maybe you have a full thing here and you want it to be 3 columns or 5 columns, you can do that. Just keep that in mind. So for this, we have beds total. I like to make sure that my wording is set properly. Again, here I'm going to do min beds as my placeholder. Min baths. Okay, same thing for your built. And that's why this is so handy. It's because you don't want to have your customers having to do all this random, and you don't want to have to go manually messing with that. So we've got it all pre-formatted for all of those basic fields. Okay, so again, auto suggest, and it depends on your subdivisions if they allow agents to type in anything they want. And there's a quick way to find out. You can just go select multi-select, take a quick peek, and if this just looks like wild, crazy stuff going on over here, and misspellings and all that other stuff, then you're going to want to put it as a auto suggest text. What I like to do is I like to come in and take a quick look and see if you can tell pretty quickly, like, if this was generated as selectable only fields in their particular RETS, or if they just allow the agents to type in anything they want. And if you're afraid of this list being static and you set it as static, let me just show you what I will do. Typically what I will do, I'm going to hit cancel. On subdivision, I will change multi-select to multi-select plus. And that means that whatever is in the subdivision column in the MySQL database will automatically get populated when the page loads. And that's also a handy thing. So again, these little tooltips, they're pretty self-explanatory if you read them. And one of the things that I like to just quickly talk about is the plus. Plus means that it is dynamically going to reach into the database every time the search page loads and populate all of these values from the database. So the difference is this. If I was to select multi-select and I go ahead and save this, and the moment that I create this is the list of available subdivisions, and maybe there were 5 or 6 subdivisions that are in the area that currently do not have any listings whatsoever in them, active listings in them, then they will not be shown, and those subdivisions will never be shown because I selected a static value. So that is another reason why you will on some of these like this, I will go ahead and select plus and let it be dynamic. So that means the subdivision list that will be generated on the page will only be showing subdivisions at that moment that have an active listing within them. So if there is a subdivision called Plantation Lakes and that doesn't have any active listings, then Plantation Lakes will not show as a selectable subdivision. So just keep that in mind. It's pretty handy. Okay, I'm going to add one more field in here that's going to show you an example of features. What happens when you have something like this that happens? Okay, so here's some basic features. And as you can see, we have some, looks like one realtor put in way too many extra, they must have copied and pasted or something, but they have way too many spaces in there. But as you can see, we ended up with a bunch of comma separated extra stuff. So like this particular property has a smoke detector, like that one has a smoke detector, but this one has a smoke detector and a washer dryer hookup. And as you can see, we have multiple things in here. How do you clean all this mess up? You just click on unique. And why did we end up with balcony twice? Well, like I said, one of them had a lot of extra space after it. So get rid of these that are duplicates if you end up with that. This is something I rarely have ever seen happen where there are spaces on the extra part. Okay, so this is all original, and you're just going to click that and hit save, and that's your feature option. So that's how you clean that mess up when you have a lot of like appliances or interior features or exterior features where you have comma separated values and you just want to clean that up. All right, so we've got enough in here to just take a peek, so we're going to go ahead and hit save. And we can go take a look. Okay, so as you can see here, we have got a rough layout to match what we are working on to get all created over here, so similar to this. And it's coming along quite well. And all you would need to do now, as you can see where I did that one residential, as you can see, the only thing that's really left is just adding in your placeholder text, any CSS that you want to tweak on here, making sure that everything's cleaned up and laid out the way you want, and you're done. All right, so that's going to conclude this video, and we are going to have other videos for you for those guys that want to do advanced search forms. And just check on the YouTube channel for this playlist, and you should be able to get more information on those other videos. Don't forget to subscribe, click on the bell. Got any comments, post them down below. Any other questions that you might want to ask or look up in the forums, join us at RETSPro/forums. And sure, that's it. Thanks so much for watching.